So I'm doing a little screencast here to show how we're using Asana. This is just a quick intro. What you see in front of you is my list of tasks and my current task, which is create an intro video to Asana, assigned to me. It's due on Friday. Over here, I can also add attachments to the tasks. I could add tags, create subtasks, and we'll get into that in a minute. This is the list of tasks. You can see what I plan to do today. Here's some things that are upcoming soon. Some of them have due dates. These things will auto-promote whenever they get close. If it's actually due today, it'll pop up to today's list. And there's a couple of other ways to view it. So I could look at what I have to do by project. I could look at what I have to do by due date, so I know what's pressing right now. Here's an interesting one. I have to do a monthly status report, so I set the due date. Not only that, but also, since it repeats, I have to do this every month. I've gone ahead and set this as a recurring task, so I don't have to enter it in the system. It automatically comes up every month for me to do this. Same with completing my timesheet, similar type of thing. Some neat search capabilities. Let's say I just want to search on ISAT. Let's say anything ISAT related. That'll give me a list of ISAT tasks. You can also do some advanced tasks. So let's just look at the tasks that contain or that are ISAT. They're related to Jim and that are not complete. And here's a list. So I could also, if I wanted to look at this routinely, I could mark this a favorite, and then from then on, that search is over here on the left. I'm not going to save that one, but I have saved a number of tasks. For example, what to do today, or which tasks are late. Number of different searches that I might want to repeat frequently. Going on down, look at what we have here is a team. So this is the Sprite Lab team, Nano Launch team. We can collapse some of these to make it a little easier. ISAT team. We can go in here and invite members to the team. Since we're using the free version, we can only use up to 15 members. That includes guests on the free version. So that's the maximum number of people we can have on any team, but we can have a number of teams. And I like to think of the team as a group of people who are working on a particular kind of major effort. So Nano Launch, ISAT, those are big efforts. And so there are a number of people who either work on them or need to be notified of what's going on, like the manager or systems engineer who might need to be aware of the tasks on that team. Drilling into the team, that team has a number of projects. So here's a project. Actually, let's go to this one. This project, this is kind of interesting. So beyond just tasks, these are the tasks I have to do. One neat thing is if you type a task and you put a colon at the end, it becomes a section heading. So you can kind of divide up what you're working on, and you can kind of structure that however you want. So in some cases I have kind of a Kanban looking thing where I have work in progress, what's blocked, what's ready to work, things that we'll work on someday. In this case, decided to sort it by documentation things. So here's a list of software requirements. So beyond tasks, I can track, actually, here are the things that need to get done. And because this list is pretty long, over here on the right, you can see that I'm the project owner. And this is one of my recommended practices, is each project, I like to lay them out so that each project is some deliverable that's due on a particular date. So for a software project, it might be the things you have to deliver for PDR or CDR, or for the next build. Project might be a particular build. And that way you can track, who's responsible. Now that person might have a number of other people working on it, but you have one individual who's responsible for making sure that gets done. And you have a date that it's supposed to be due. That's kind of a recommended good practice for a lot of projects. Down here you can see status, and you notice because there's a lot of things that need to be done, this project's actually red. So we can set the color to indicate kind of visually the status: green, yellow, red. But you can also type in an update that says, here's what's, why is this red? Well, there's a whole lot to do. There's a very short amount of time to do that. And I've added my branch chief so that he gets notified whenever I update the status of the project. I could type in more names here if additional people, like a systems engineer, might need to know the status of that project. You can also look at not just a list view, but you can also see a calendar view for a particular project. It'll show, there's not any here, but it'll show which things are due on which dates. And so you can see that there was something that was due on that particular date. You can also even go up to the level of the team, so all of the projects assigned to that team, and see everything that's due. So avionics delivery, and then a flight in here. And what's really fascinated me is you can use this beyond just task management on projects. So I'm maintaining a list of flights, upcoming flights. So this is basically our flight manifest, and that shows up on the calendar because I've set a due date. We also use it, actually, there's another little feature here. Some things might be in more than one project. So this task, building this second generation avionics package, impacts two different launch vehicles. And so it kind of lives in more than one project. Some other interesting use cases here. So this team, the Sprite Lab team, has a weekly retrospective where we talk about how things went in the past week, what we plan to do for the next week. We have a recurring task as a due date, but it recurs every week. It sets up, repeats periodically every 7 days. And people can, there's nothing here right now because we just had the meeting, but if we go back, we can look at last week's agenda, and we can see that there were several things, and several people actually added items to them. So the way we actually conduct the meeting is everybody gets to add one or two things that are forefront in their mind that they want to talk about. So there's not a single person responsible for the agenda. The team's responsible for the agenda. And you notice that people can make comments over here. I was working on setting this up last weekend, and Scott made a comment in the comment section telling me to get off the computer. But we can also track things about what was going on. Here's an example of subtasks. So what did I want to cover as we introduced Asana? Well, let me explain why Asana. Do a little demo, talk about best practices for using it, and then figure out what the next steps were. And this is one of those next steps. And we did all that. Another use case. So we are also using it to track procurement. We'll type a little description in here to explain to people how to use this. So you add items to the list. You can put a URL in the description. You can attach like attachments. So here's a URL to the product. Here are the material safety data sheets, or safety data sheets they're now called, and also the pre-assessment that has to be done, the sheet pre-assessment that has to be done with attached to the response, so that to let people know that yes, this has been approved. Those attachments can be from your computer, or they can be from Dropbox, Google Drive box, and they actually live right in, still in Dropbox. So if I go to that, it's going to take me to the file on Dropbox. It's not actually in Asana. It's there. So if I get an updated form, I drop the updated form on here, and the task will reflect the updated form. Here's an item that we talked about. How long did the cable need to be? So we had a little conversation about that, and then we also attached the URL. And here's the item that we're thinking about procuring. So very handy for the person who needs to go order this to have the URL right there. There's lots of other use cases. For example, I keep a list of active projects that are approved, likely to be approved, ones that are on hold, ones that we don't know the status of. So you kind of create any kind of list you want, divide them up in sections, and keep all kinds of notes over here, or have conversations with your teammates about those things. It's real easy, very easy to edit, and fix a typo as well. So that's my quick introduction to Asana. It went a little longer than I